So how might we represent this? So let me give you a sort of more physical, as I said, as I promised earlier, shapes. I'm gonna use shapes. Okay, so here's one way of looking at this. We can say that what is common to these two things together? Well, both propaganda and advertising use persuasion. You should do this because buy my stuff. And whether it's a point of view at this point or a car, let me use a car as an example because it's a nice chunky, we're like, okay, we all get that. Okay. So you should buy my car or you should buy my point of view. Well, both of these involve persuasion. And both part of the persuasion involves using evidence. Like you should buy my car because it's safe and doesn't burn a lot of gas. And now I would have to bring along examples. And I would bring along examples by using facts and statistics. So I would say, buy my car because the facts show and statistics bear me out that this is the safest car you've ever been in. If we take this as a point of view, if I say you should buy my point of view because, and this is here comes the evidence, because always means evidence to follow. Here come the reasons, right? Because I will, the facts have shown that the middle class has been losing buying power in the last, say, 30 years. And I'm going to support, as a sort of political position, I'm going to support strengthen the middle class using my tax bills. And here are a bunch of statistics showing, how there have been regressive taxes and so on. So I've got facts and statistics. So we're still, advertising propaganda still look the same. Right? They're still using the same techniques. So we're like, oh, okay, I guess that's all right then. And here comes the beginning of trouble. I'm going to make emotional claims. So I'm going to say things like, I'm going to make an ad for my car. I'm going back to my car example. I'm going to say, you should buy my car because little Jimmy got killed. He and his parents, unfortunately, were driving competitor X's crappy automobile. And they got into an accident with a drunk driver. It was no fault of their own. They were completely innocent. But they were driving whatever it is, crap box version 2. Jesus. And, competitor X should, so if only they had been driving whatever my brand is, little Jimmy would be alive today. An emotional claim, right? And you're like, oh my God. And this is the stuff that really pays off, right? Because emotional claims are like, people are like, ooh, yeah. Because that's like facts and statistics. You're like, yeah. I mean, some of us are like, yeah, I want it. Let's show me the numbers. Let me see the numbers. So you look at the numbers, you're like, okay, I'm convinced. Yeah, that's right. But then somebody comes along with an emotional claim, you're like, ugh, I don't care. That's not going to sell me. But some people are not touched by the facts and statistics. They're like, yeah, whatever. It's very remote to them. But when you hit them with an emotional claim and you say, check this out, here's a picture of a dead 3-year-old in the back of, car X, we're like, whoa, this is terrible. That's a terrible thing to have happen. So an emotional claim. Now, both advertising and propaganda use emotional claims, right? Because advertising doesn't just say, well, here are the facts, and everybody goes, oh, okay, that's fine, which would be fine with me. But oh no, and I think that, okay, I won't get started. Okay, and then it gets even worse because then I'm moving myself all around here because there's all the statistics in the middle in the middle of the slide. I don't know what to do. There's nowhere for me to pause. The pause, it refreshes. Then it gets even worse because my emotional claims may become based on rumors and lies. Okay, now, ideally, in fact, we say about advertising, there better not be any rumors and lies. You better not have been saying that because if it is, it's fraudulent. And if it's fraudulent, then you get your money back. And we close down agency X, we put them on notice, and we shut down, we make the company who lied to us make reparations. So an example of this, for instance, would be the Volkswagen. I'm going to move myself here because I wind up so I wind up looking to the side. An example of this would be the recent Volkswagen diesel debacle that happened. Geez, I don't know. It feels to me like it was a couple of years ago, which probably means realistically it was 6 years ago. Jesus. So have a look at a Volkswagen diesel disaster or fraud claims or they call it scandal. Probably scandal would do it. Volkswagen diesel scandal. And what you'll see is that Volkswagen said about their new diesels, that they burn clean. And they were clean. One of the problems with diesel is that it puts a lot of crap in the air that standard non-diesel cars don't. I mean, diesel is a different fuel. Okay. So, and when you begin to clean the air that comes out of a diesel engine, it drops the fuel efficiency because otherwise they're more efficient. Well, everything's efficient if you can just fill the air with crap. It's like, yeah, gas, we can burn very efficiently if you just don't care about the quality of the air. Okay, so these diesels that Volkswagen began to sell, and they're really clever about this, right? I mean, they really game this thing so that a car has to go through a series of testing stages, and it has to be tested by different governments and so on. The government agencies come in and they say, okay, show us the car running at this speed. And whoops, now what happened? Oh, there we go. So it's always a pleasure to use Zoom, the very finest that the Western world can offer us in this high-tech paradise. Oh goodness. Anyway, so you say, okay, we're checking our diesel, and okay, run it at say 100 kilometers an hour. At 100 kilometers an hour, it starts to burn hot, and there's more junk coming out, and so the fuel efficiency drops. And in other words, there's an outside agency that's vetting what's actually happening inside the engine. Well, Volkswagen gamed that so that they had the computer know it was being observed and lie about its numbers. So it was putting out the wrong numbers. It was an extremely complex, very sophisticated scam that Volkswagen was running. And when it finally turned, and I remember reading an engineer, he was reading the numbers, he was reading the stats, the facts and statistics, right, on the Volkswagen diesel engines. And he was like, man, this is amazing. I got to have one of these cars. He's like, and he said, I knew the numbers were too good, but it was just, I couldn't pass this up. So he bought a Volkswagen diesel. Then it turned out that they'd been gaming the numbers and they'd been lying. And okay, well, when that happened, Volkswagen was made to pay reparations, and they paid billions of dollars in reparations. And a whole bunch of people got fired, and there was disaster everywhere, and there was a buyback. I mean, it was a disaster, right? Because you're not allowed to lie in advertising. It's illegal, this is a concept that Mark Zuckerberg seems to have a problem with understanding. There are some kinds of information which are bad for you, and lying is one of them. Okay. But he doesn't want to get into he doesn't want to get into the position of being a judge. Okay, fine. So what can we, so if you're not allowed to lie in advertising, what about propaganda? Oh yeah, propaganda, the sky's the limit. You can do everything that makes your point and that gets your point across, because there is no right or wrong in propaganda. You just make any claim you can. And if people catch you out, you can say, well, we didn't know. And so what we've seen in the last 4 years is that denial goes a long way with your base. If people say, well, we believe, and some people are given to belief at a deeper level. It's okay. That's a sociological issue, which we can talk about. I'm happy to talk about why say Trump's base is prepared to have him lie and have those lies exposed and yet still stand by him. It's like, what is the reason why? Okay, we can talk about that. Okay, so here's how I would then organize it. I told you I was going to use shapes. So here are some shapes. Ooh, I'll put myself down here. Okay, so there's persuasion, and in persuasion, there's this evidence, facts, statistics, emotional claims. Okay, fine. And argument uses these things. So if I make an argument to you and I say, we should do, we should go on vacation to, well, I don't know, Bahrain this year because it's an amazing place to go. Here are the statistics. It's an amazing place to go as an emotional claim, and see how safe it is, statistics, and it's going to be cheap, facts, and so on. Okay, that's an argument. And if I'm advertising, if I'm the Tourism Bureau of Bahrain, I'm going to say, yeah, come to beautiful Bahrain. Check it out. This is wonderful. It's amazing. And I'm going to use the same things. But if we use rumors and lies, it's not advertising, not officially. And advertisers who are caught using rumors and lies are made to recant, basically. So it's quite a religious term I'm using, right? But you can you can see what's coming here, right? This is what's coming, right? Because the thing which uses all the techniques of persuasion, evidence, facts, statistics, emotional claims, and rumors and lies is propaganda. And that's why it's dirty, and that's why it's not advertising. Okay, this is one of the major differences. Okay, let me put myself here. I'll give you a chance to, I don't know, you can take a screenshot of this if you like, if it's useful to you or not. Okay, I mean, yeah, whatever works for you. Okay, so here's what you need to take away from this little section, right? First of all, propaganda is not advertising. Second, advertising may commit the sins of propaganda, although by law, it's not supposed to. In fact, it's not permitted to, right? And that's why we have advertising boards of fidelity, ironically, but boards of truth, effectively, which check on what advertisers are saying. And if you say this is not as it was claimed, you can go to the government and say, advertiser so-and-so at the behest of company X lied to me. And they will, if you bring them enough evidence, they will open an investigation and they may take the company to court. And that's what happened with Volkswagen. Propaganda follows few, if any, rules, since it is the use of persuasion for damage, the creation of distress, mistrust, or hatred. Now, you may want to convince people to come your way, and you may need to lie to do that. But most of the time, it's better if you don't. I mean, everybody knows what a claim that is. In general, it's better to tell people as much of the truth as you possibly can and lie as little as possible. Because when they discover you in a lie, they may be so upset that they've been lied to and betrayed, essentially, because their trust has been broken, that they throw you out entirely. So you don't want to lie if you can avoid it. But this is about destruction. Advertising usually wishes to convince us to buy a product or a lifestyle associated with the thing. Unless a brand specifically wants us to learn to hate other people and wish for their pain and destruction, then it's advertising. Now, if you've got a brand which says, kill all people X, or whatever that group may be, then you can say that's not actually advertising, that's propaganda. Because propaganda generally is after a group or groups and wants their ill. It is after them to do them harm. And when you can see that it's proposing harm, then you can say, okay, that's bad news. That's propaganda. Propaganda, this is the fifth thing, wants to make its worldview into yours. It wants to engineer hatred so as to cause action. But it wants you to believe that you thought this up, not me. So it's inception, right? It's like, I want to get my idea of who you should hate into your head so deeply and so convincingly that you are completely buy the idea that you came up with this first, and that I was at best somebody you just agreed with, but you are in control. You run the ship here. And this is a lot of why what's going on with the Trump base is this, that once you become a true believer like that, backing up from it costs so much that you decide, okay, I'm gonna double down, as they say. So what are these 5 things again? Propaganda is not advertising. 2, advertising may commit the sins of propaganda, but it's not supposed to. 3, propaganda follows few, if any, rules because it is after destruction. 4, advertising wishes to convince us to buy a product or a lifestyle associated with a brand. That's it. 5 is propaganda wants to make its worldview into yours, and to the point where you don't remember it ever being anything but yours. Okay.